Hello and welcome back. This is Mystic Games. Today's tier list for Northgard will be on the objective overall power that I consider a clan to have. So these are your strongest clans. My last tier list was on what ones I enjoy playing, but this is what clans I consider the strongest in Northgard. I will be kind of breaking them down slightly into like what they're good at. We're going to start with Stag because they're, like your starter basic, one of the 6 starter clans. And I actually think Stag is an S tier clan overall in power. So they're a fame victory focused clan. That's like their main, what they're good at. I would say they have an average military, but the military just gets better as the game progresses. Their economy is relatively decent. They have a great happiness, which means they have a good ability to get in field a lot of villagers very quickly due to having scalds. And if you get the lore where it adds gold for the scalds you have, it essentially cancels out any gold penalties you take, which allows you to get your economy, in a sense, even better. So they have an average economy, but because of scalds, I think it actually is better. I just would say overall it's an average economy. They have an average ability to scout as well. Scouting is generally important. When people tend to play this game like in teams, they usually have like a scouting person, an econ person, and then a military focused person. Those are kind of the general jobs, I would say, of Northgard when you do team play. Someone can correct me if I'm incorrect there, but that's most of the time when people build teams, those are what they tend to build around if they're doing it more competitively. So I'm going to put Stag in S, and that's because of all the things I listed. And they are strongest when you're going for a fame victory, but they also have very good military in the late game because of their Valorous Leader upgrade and other upgrades they get in their tech tree. Next, we're going to talk about the GOAT. The GOAT is not it doesn't have a victory focus in a sense. Like, it's not a clan that I would put a focus with, other than the fact that they're an economy focused clan, but that's not really a victory point. It's trade, domination, lore. You have the Squirrel that has a special one, and I think I'm not thinking of one right now. But, you have your kind of your fame. Sorry, I don't think I put fame in there. So for GOAT, I would say their military is average. They have a very strong economy. In particular, their economy is very good with food. They have average happiness and then average scouting ability, I'd say. Although they can sacrifice, because of their basic economy having a stronger food, you can generally sacrifice a extra worker to scout, and it won't be as detrimental to you as it would be for some of the other clans. And I would consider this a support clan overall. For them, I'm going to put them in A tier. I think they're one of the better clans in the game, especially if you're playing support. This is a solid support clan. The next clan would be the Wolf, which is your basic, out of the first 6 clans that you get with the base game, would be more of your military clan. They're a military-focused clan, as I just said. They're a military, I would argue, is above normal in the beginning of the game. And they have a good amount of sustain with their military, in a sense of you can just keep attacking because of some of the lore and stuff they get later. I would say because they are a military-focused clan, they tend to be below average in the econ department. They are an average happiness clan, but they have the ability to focus on their army and still have happiness with lore. So I would arguably say they start off as average and they become above average in happiness as fielding troops increases their happiness. And they're an average scout clan because the fact that they're not an economy focused clan and you're going to be trying to support more warriors, you're not going to have as many units to spare to scout. As an overall strength of this clan, I actually consider them a D clan. People are going to hate that, but I really just don't think the Wolf is a very powerful clan if you're looking at overall strength. They are strongest at military in the sense of that's what their clan is best at, but not strongest in the game at military. Give me a second. I want to check to make sure I'm recording. Okay, it did work, because I was AFK for a second because my kid was upset, and I was just making sure it didn't mess up. Next, we're going to talk about the Raven clan, and they are one of my favorite clans in the game. And I'm going to tell you guys why here. They are a crown-focused clan. Crowns can buy food, and it can buy wood later. And if you get I want to say it's called Negotiator's Lore. I should know it because I pick it almost every time. It reduces the price for food and lumber, so essentially you can just trade crowns for food and lumber. So if your economy in the sense of food and or lumber isn't going very well, these guys can supplement using crowns. They can also colonize using crowns, I believe. Anyways, they have an average military, I would say, in the beginning of the game. They have a relatively strong economy in the beginning of the game. I would say they have a above ability to reach above happiness, normal happiness levels. Like, they have a lot of good modifiers to boost happiness. And they are actually a pretty strong scouting clan due to the fact that they can use their harbor to scout the coast, and they can also use the normal scouting methods. And they get bonuses for scouting, and the more of the map that you have scouted, the more happiness you get as well. That's another happiness part of their perk. They are probably, I would consider them an S tier clan, and they specialize in producing crowns in trade victory, obviously, but they're also just a very good scouting clan. They're one of the stronger scouting clans you can get in the game, I would argue. They're kind of made for it, due to the boats, and I think they actually have a lore that doubles their speed on scouting as well. They also have just a strong ability to produce money, and overall have a good amount of being able to field troops because of that. They have the ability to summon mercenaries to attack coastlines, which they aren't relatively that strong, but you can get quite a few of them and then send them into the coast somewhere to attack a not well defended territory as your main army or your allies' main army hits the enemy. And they have a lot of they just have a lot of value. I feel like they have a lot that they can do to assist the team, and assist themselves, obviously, to create distractions and such. I'm losing my thoughts and my words here as I'm talking about them. They're one of they just have a lot going for them, is what I'm going to say. So they're definitely an S tier clan in my mind. Next, we're going to do Bear. Bear is like the winter focus clan. That's what I think of them. What I think of when I think of them. They are very interesting of a clan. So they have what I would consider, especially in the early game, above average military. They have the bear that can defend your territory. They also have the bear that can help take territory. I would say they have an above average econ in the beginning, and not because they have anything that gives them special economy like production bonuses, but because of the winter penalty reduction. They just don't get hit as hard during the winter, which means they're going to have a slightly stronger economy in the beginning. Like, there's more room for failure before the winter hits you without you dying. They have a below average economy later, though, I would argue, because I think winter becomes less of an issue as the game goes on, because you're just going to get to the point where you don't have to really worry about it. So the winter bonus only helps in the earlier to the middle portions of the game, and if the game runs later than that, I believe the bear drops off. I would say they're average on the happiness and they're average on the scouting ability. And I would consider them a C tier clan. I don't think they're a bad clan. I just don't think they really do anything other than minimize economy damage during the winter mainly. And they don't even have fur coats. Like, they don't have that option where they get the reduction in winter, which is just weird to me, because they have like they have resistance for shield bearers, I want to say it is. Or it might be all military units. It's 10% reduction in like damage, essentially. I just feel like they should have fur coats built into them, and the fact that they don't is just strange, being that they're a winter clan. Next, we're going to talk about Boar. And Boar is one of my least favorite clans. and they're kind of like supposed to be the original lore focused clan, and that's because they have menders, and that's really the only thing they get to help them with that. And it just amazes me that this clan exists and has not been reworked in some way, shape, or form to be a better clan, if I'm being honest. Anyways, they have an average military, I would say. They have an average economy. They have average happiness, and they have average scouting. They're supposed to be the lore victory clan, but I don't think they even do that the best. And I would consider this an E tier clan. Literally, to me, this is an E tier clan. The only thing that I can think of that gives them somewhat of an edge is that they can colonize zones with animals on it, which is good for defense. But other than that, I think they're just bad. I don't think they do the job they're supposed to do. I don't think they're really good at any job. Like, they don't support really well. They don't scout really well. And they aren't what I would use as a main military force. Just a very weird clan to me. Next, we're going to talk about Snake. Snake is very cool of a clan idea, and I like Snake in the overall feel of Snake. Snake is definitely a military-focused clan, and specifically they're what I would call the hit-and-run military clan. They have a unique military style, which I would consider them a above-average military style if you know how to use their skirmishers correctly. They're average on econ, they're average on happiness, and they're average on scouting. Now, that means scouting tiles. When controlling tiles, I would actually argue Snake has the advantage as like a military scouting clan, which is something I'm just going to say for them in specifically that they can do that really not many other clans can do. Snake have a very good ability to control its maps, or control the map. Once the map is scouted for them, they have the ability to control it. So they have a lot of map control capabilities because of their skirmishers and just their upgrades in general with stealth being put on military units and all that. And their leader is specifically designed to attack people. Anyways, I'm going to put them in B tier. I think they are a very strong clan. I think they have a lot of ability of map control, but they are essentially purely focused on military. So they're not going to be as good on economy and scouting. And again, you can say that there's a mix of scouting and military map control power later if you put them together, but I would just consider that military. But I do see why people are like, you could argue it is some level of scouting, because in any other game it would be like scouting to control the map in the way that they do. Next, we're going to talk about Dragon. Dragon is a military-focused clan. They are a power, what I would consider they want to overpower their enemies. They have powerful units that AoE and they strike down. It's a very unique military style, similar to the Snake. They have a very unique military style. I would argue that their military is above average pretty much the whole game. I would argue that even their economy is above average for most of the game as well, although it is much harder to learn than most clans due to the thrall system. And they have average happiness and average scouting. And their happiness can be slightly above average, but it's very random. It's based on their Dragon Essence bar. So, as a clan, I'm going to put the Dragon Clan in S tier. I actually think that they're one of the strongest clans, and they are essentially a domination-focused clan, but they have the ability to do a lot of other things due to the fact that they have a relatively good economy. The biggest weakness for, I think, the Dragon Clan is they kind of have a slower start, but once you get going, they're going to be stronger, whereas Bear is kind of like they have a better start, but they get weaker as the game goes on, in my opinion. I am taking in account of relics, I'm just not explaining them here, but the relics are based in where, like, this one is a military relic, this one's a military relic, this is more or less a military relic, this is an economy relic, so I'm in placing all the stats of all those relics and everything and all their lore into my overall accounts for each of the stats that I'm looking at, just so everyone kind of can go follow my list a little better. People are probably like, why is he not explaining that? It's because I'm building them into where they would slot without actually going into them. Next, we're going to talk about the Horse Clan. This is what I would consider the mining clan. That's what they are for. I would say they have an average military, an average economy, average happiness, and average scouting. I think they're... What I consider this clan is... Yes, I call them the mining clan, but I consider them a jack of all trades and a master of none. But sometimes they can be better than some of the other clans because of the fact that they're not good at anything and they can be good at everything. That being said, though, you have to really focus on mining and then getting up your iron and then selecting on kind of what you want to focus on to upgrade those units. That being said, I'm putting them in B, and I'm probably going to put them in what I would consider lower B tier, because I think they could be a C clan, but I think they're just slightly too strong to be, due to the fact that they can be good. But they're a clan that you kind of have to go into it thinking, what is my role in the team, or what is my role in this game, or what I'm trying to do, because if you're not focused on that, you can easily lose track of what you're trying to do, because they just don't push you in a certain direction. The next clan is Kraken. They are the military coastal clan. That's what I consider them. They are above average in military overall. They have an average econ. They have an above average happiness due to the fact that they have a different system that isn't really happiness but is happiness. It's the word system. And then they have lower than average scouting. And someone might ask, why do I think they have a lower than average scouting? It's because their econ isn't that great comparatively. And you need to, in the beginning of the game, you kind of need to have as many units as possible on just working. Once you get the territories you need scouted out to build up your base. Later, again, they can always give to scouting, but I would consider them one of the weaker scouting clans due to the fact that they need their villagers working in some way, shape, or form most of the time. And the reason I put them as above average on military is because they start with ghosts. And ghosts just give you an extra unit that you can kind of use to fight, and then you can use it to strengthen your territories as well. Which, again, increases your economy, but it takes time to get there. Kraken, in my opinion, is an A tier clan. You're normally going to use them as a military clan. They're going to be your focus on, attacking other enemies. That's what I would consider their job. They're not going to be a scout, and they're not going to be your support. They're generally going to be focused on combat. Ox is the next clan. Ox is a very interesting clan. So Ox is definitely a military clan. The whole focus is around the war chief, powering up your war chief. I would say they have an above average military because each unit is additionally stronger than it should be. It's like 50% stronger. I would say that they have a below average economy in the beginning of the game, and then once you upgrade your buildings, it's above average because you're outputting more than you would with the 3 workers with 2 workers. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen until you start upgrading buildings, so in the beginning of the game, their economy is just weaker due to that. They have average happiness and average scouting ability. I could argue that their scouting ability could be above average due to the fact that they don't need as many workers for economy, in a sense. But again, their economy just starts off weak, so it's hard to not put the villager where you need it so you survive winters. Or at least make winters not as bad for you. Overall, though, I think Ox is a very strong clan. I think that they are an A-tier clan. I would even probably argue that if you look at them as a military clan and you think of versus Kraken, I think Ox is actually stronger than Kraken in the military department, which is what I consider its main focus. And, Torfin's just a strong war chief for the clan. The next clan we're going to be discussing is Lynx. Lynx is what I would call the trapping clan. If you guys watch my other video, I go into my personal feelings about the clan. I really like the idea of the clan. I think it just didn't do it as well as it could have. I would argue that they are above average in the military. overall in their playstyle, and they kind of are a military clan. They have average econ, average happiness, and average scouting. I think their biggest strength is, I actually put them higher than horse. I think their biggest strength is that in military combat they have ranged units, which are the archers, and the archers can get upgraded in special ways. And archers can be very useful if you have a front wall. So they're good in team play. When you're playing with just Lynx, it's hard to defend your archers as well as you could with some other clans. The two cats and their leader, which I believe the leader is just very out of place, are pretty much your wall, and then you're going to generally make a lot of archers, and you might supplement with a couple warriors or shield bearers. But I think the Lynx does bring something unique to the team with the archers, and because of that, they could be up higher depending on what the team build is. If you're kind of using them as a support, like as a backup, I could understand, although I don't think their economy is really made well to be a support. I don't think they are bad. Let's put it that way. I think they have their place, and they can be used in combat very well to supplement pretty much any other clan due to the fact that they have archers. Anyways, we're going to talk about Squirrel next. Squirrel is definitely a economy clan. I would consider this a support clan. That's like their main role in a team function. They have a special victory that only they can do. Their military is pretty much average. They have a very strong economy. They have average happiness and average scouting. In the strength of a clan, I'd put them in A. And it's hard for me to argue who's stronger, but I would say Squirrel is stronger than Goat slightly. I think they both do the same job, and I think they have their place. And I love to run like versus an AI with just these two as my partners on easy, just to have them support me with feast and their meals, because I just find it fun. But other than that, I don't think they, that's what they provide your team. They are a support clan. They're there to make everyone else stronger and to feed your economy. The clan that comes after Squirrel is Rat. Rat, to me, is a military clan. They are the disease clan. They play on their theme very well. They have above average military due to the fact that they can kind of push and heal at the same time. They have an average economy, and some people will argue the overwork system. The issue is I would consider that they need to be focused on combat, and therefore having units healing tiles in the overwork system is going to minimize your ability to attack efficiently. And I think if you look at how overwork works and the fact that your units are generally going to be wounded, otherwise your unhappiness is going to skyrocket, your economy is going to be pretty much averaged out. Like, you're not really gaining that much. Like, you might have a boost at certain times, so you have more control over when your economy is good and when it's bad. But overall, I don't think having control... I want a nice, steady economy, right? Like, in real life, you don't want your economy to have ups and downs, and I feel like the Rat has ups and downs. I think that's the best way to explain that. Their happiness is average, although I could actually argue that they are below average on happiness due to the overwork system and injuries and all that. And I would consider that they're average on scouting as well. I think they are a B tier clan. I do think they're better than Horse. I think they're worse than both Snake and Lynx. I think that they don't offer as much. I think they're very good at military pushes because they can heal the units around them as they take territory. But other than that, I don't think they provide as much as some of the other clans do on the list above them. There's just better people at military roles, and there's better people at economy, and I feel like they try to do both in a sense, and do neither one as well as they could. Although I will argue I hate these guys as AI because they just heal, they attack, they heal, and then they come back, and it's ridiculously annoying. But again, that's where I will say their strength is, that they can heal and attack. Well, you can't do that on the same scale that they could. Eagle is generally a scouting clan. They have the Falconeers. That's like their whole shtick. I think that their military is, I would consider it relatively, it's average. I think, later game they do become a little bit stronger in their military, but I don't think that that's their main job in your team. I think they have an average econ. Again, you could argue above average with the Falconeers gathering caches. And then they have average happiness and then above average scouting ability. I would consider them an A tier clan. I think that they do a good job at scouting, and I think that's kind of what their clan's meant to do. I think they're a good secondary military clan as well. So they're a scout military clan similar to the Raven. I just think the Raven has more in its kit that makes it better overall into the late game, whereas these guys do not have that. Not that they're a bad clan. If I was to pick a scouting clan and I was trying to win, I'd probably go with Raven. Most times. The next clan we're going to talk about is Lion. We are missing 2 clans on this list, just so you guys know. I'll probably just use my pointer and just tell you guys where I think I'll just use a head or something. I'll figure it out when we get there. Lion is like the Faith clan. I would say they have above average military, an average econ, an average happiness, and average scouting. I would put them in B tier, like a buff horse. I think they have a good military at the end of the day. I think the way their systems work, they tend to have a very good ability to be a military clan. The issue is there are other military clans in the games that just do a better job. That's also why I put Wolf so low, for anyone that's wondering why Wolf's in D. There's just so many clans that kind of do what they do and do it better at this point in the game that they just have, in my opinion, fallen off. The final clan that I have a picture for is Stoat. They are in a kingdom clan just like the Lion was, just so everyone knows they are slightly different in play. I'd consider them a support clan. I'd say they're average in the military, above average on econ, average in happiness, and average at scouting. I also put them in the B tier. I don't think that they are specifically good at or bad. I've seen arguments that these guys, due to the fact that they're kingdom clans, they're just slightly more powerful, and people tend to put these guys in A. I just don't see it. I do like the clans. I just feel like they're both very slow in the beginning, and then as you upgrade, they get better. I mean, that's with every clan, but I feel like these ones in particular just don't have the strongest start comparatively to like the clans above them. So the final clans we're going to talk about are Hound and Owl, and we're going to do Owl first because we're trying to do it in the release order. Owl is the lore clan. I would argue that they have an above average military. Their econ is average, but it's also map reliant in a sense. They have average happiness and above average scouting capabilities due to the fact that they have Norns and they want their Norns to go out and scout. They're a good clan overall, and in overall power, because that's what we're doing here, I would actually consider them an A tier clan. So for Owl, I don't have a circle here, but it would go in A. And they're a domination kind of military clan in a sense, even though they're not. I'd put them there. And I would say they do it very well. I'd probably put them between the Ox and the Kraken if I were to place them by their power scale. I think that's where the Owl would go. Hound is also the newest clan. It's also a military clan. I would say they're above average in military. They have average econ, average happiness, and average scouting abilities. Their econ could be considered above average. It depends how you use your brawlers, because they have a lore that you can kind of put brawlers in to help your economy in a sense. I think they're an A tier clan as well. I think they're great in domination. But again, I'm looking at the overall where they rely. They are a military clan. This one's actually difficult for me. Would I put Hound in front of Ox, or would I put it behind Ox. I think it's stronger than Owl is, and I think it's like when you look at it for the military purpose. I would say Hound is probably equal to Ox, whereas then you have Owl and Kraken behind them in that order, and I think there is a slight difference between Owl and Kraken as well. Anyways, that's my tier list on the Northgard clans, guys. If you want to know, like, you know, what I think about their overall capabilities and power, I think a dream team is honestly the Stag, the Raven, and the Dragon. I think that the Stag can fall into, you know, multiple jobs. You have Raven that can scout, and then you have them for damage. If you want someone that's going to be directly supporting, though, I would say Raven, Dragon, and then either Squirrel or Goat would be an interesting combination to do, because you have probably relatively strong scouting capabilities. You would have a relatively strong army, and then you'd have someone that helps support your feast, or you have someone that helps support you in meals. Anyways, I think there's a bunch of different combos you can do, and everyone has, you know, their opinion on this. I'd love to see you guys leave your opinions in the comments below. List me out your clans in the way that you would rank them, and tell me what you think about mine. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one. Next time we're doing Conquest, because that's one of my favorite game modes. Alright, later guys.